Have you ever wondered what a king's coronation looks like up close? Let me share that with you today, as you don't want to miss this exhibition right now in Paris. Bonjour, my name is Blandine and I am a big fan of visiting Paris exhibitions as there is always something new to discover. For 80% of my life, I've lived in or around Paris. I would like to thank you all for your comments as it helps me a lot to stick to my commitment to put out one video a week. It's still a difficult exercise and I could easily find excuse not to do it, so the comments help me a lot to stick to the plan. As sharing Paris is the whole goal here. You can be 100% sure that I will never ever attend a king's coronation of any kind, so this one in the museum was my best opportunity and I found it fascinating. So luxurious. To give you a little bit of context here, it's an exhibition inside la Galerie des Gobelins, inside la Manufacture des Gobelins. La Manufacture des Gobelins, the Gobelins Manufacturer, is the national administration for all the national furniture. So it's a huge space where part of the French national furniture is stored or repaired. I once bumped into the president's wives there. The Gobelins Manufacturer can only be visited with a guided tour. You will also find a school to learn artwork there. And there is la Galerie des Gobelins, where you can see temporary exhibits. Now, let's dive in this exhibit. The exhibit can be visited with no booking, just by getting there and paying the entrance ticket. It's €8 from 11 a.m. till 6 p.m. from Tuesday until Sundays. This exhibition shows the last coronation of a king in France, and that was Charles X's coronation. It took place in 1825, 200 years ago. Even if it took place after the 1789 French Revolution, this coronation was very royal and very luxurious. And you might wonder, what a king coronation after the French Revolution? So there we need a little bit of historical background, and this part of history is tough, so I needed to get back in the books. This is a kid's book and it's perfect, so bear with me here. Because for sure this part of the French history is hectic and complicated to remember. We went from King Louis XVI to the Revolution, and there the Human Rights Declaration was voted. 3 years later we had our first republic. Right now we are in our 5th republic. But nothing was going smoothly, and in 1799 Napoleon Bonaparte ends the republic in a coup d'etat, brings in the consulate in 1799, and in 1805 he turns himself as an emperor in a dictatorship way. 10 years later, things went really bad and he was forced to abdicate and was exiled to Elba Island off the coast of Italy. Once there, he escaped from Elba in 1815, and for 100 days he returned to power thanks to his army. But on June 18, he lost to the English at Waterloo in Belgium, and he was exiled to St. Helena Island. And he died there 6 years later at age 52. After the fall of Napoleon I, Napoleon Bonaparte, Louis XVIII, the brother of Louis XVI, the king who has been killed after the French Revolution, is back on the throne. And Louis XVIII's supporters are hunting down the revolutionaries. When he died in 1824, Charles X, Charles X, succeeded him and wanted to re-establish an absolute monarchy. The same kind of royal dictatorship regime as for Louis XIV. Of course, it did not go well. And there was another revolution in 1830. If you are confused here, it's normal. Till to this day, I have to check with books for this part of history, to make sure I have events in the right order. All that to say that the king's coronation, le dernier sacre, the last king coronation in France, is the one of Charles X, Charles X. So this exhibition takes you back 200 years ago, and it was after the French Revolution, as odd as it may seem. But why does this matter? It matters because at the Revolution, they burned, they destroyed, and they stole everything from the royals. So nothing was left for the King Charles X's coronation. Everything had to be recreated. Also, the person in charge of this exhibit explained that anyway every king would ask for new decor and new materials for his coronation, as it was a way to distinguish himself from his predecessor. Thus, they would create new trends in home decor. That's why Louis XV's decor is different from Louis XVI, and so on. So, Charles X was not a very popular king. In fact, he hadn't learned a single lesson from the revolution. He wanted royal power to be extremely powerful, which hadn't been the trend since the revolution. However, he may not have been a model king, but all the decorative arts that went into his coronation were exceptional. And that's the whole point of this exhibition. As a matter of fact, in 1825, we are at the beginning of the 19th century. We are at the beginning of industrialization, and France is starting to modernize. So, this coronation is an opportunity for art workshops to showcase their expertise, and weavers, upholsterers, embroiderers, goldsmiths, gilders, cabinet makers, milliners, decorators, everyone is working very hard to make this trip to Reims a success for this coronation. But why a trip to Reims for this coronation? Reims is a town east of France, and 33 kings of France were crowned in the Reims Cathedral. The choice of this location is not insignificant. It is where Clovis, the first king of the Franks, is said to have been baptized at the end of the 5th century. So, to sum up, the history is hectic, and this exhibition is all about the talents and the know-how and the French craftsmanship. The coronation of Charles X takes place after the death of his brother Louis XVIII. And the exhibits begin with this dark room, recreating dark vibes and explaining a little bit about the genealogy. The coronation ceremony for the kings of France is gigantic, and it followed a highly codified procedure. It was lasting between 3 to 5 hours. This one lasted 3.5 hours. The future sovereign is anointed with the oil contained in the holy ampoule and receives the regalia. Of course, the crown represents royalty, the scepter the power to dispense justice, and the sword the power to command the army and the military might. Here you will see the Dauphin, the king's son, slippers, almost like new shoes. The very long royal mantle is very impressive. Not only did they prepare for the closest, but as the royal court was traveling to Reims, they had to accommodate the court and the king in Reims, and an entire palace was renovated. Its name is Le Palais du Tau. Of course, they traveled by coaches, and this coach is recognized as a masterpiece of coach work. The wheels are large to give an impression of speed, but the carriage could only move forward at a 3 km/h pace. And the entire royal carriage can be seen in La Galerie des Carrosses in Versailles. Outside of Versailles, you have 2 buildings you can visit for free, and one is dedicated to the royal coaches, and it's very interesting. As per for a fashion show, you would be able to see on the plan here where personalities were seated. And this exhibition will also give you a glimpse of what a royal feast would look like. For this one in Reims, there would have been 8 courses served in 30 minutes. During the 5 days the court spent in Reims for the coronation, an estimated 7,000 meals were served. So this exhibition, organized by Le Mobilier National, shows us contemporary art as if we were in 1825. And Victor Hugo, the famous writer, was very enthusiastic about the modernity of the style that has romantic vibes as he wrote it. The exhibition concludes 5 years later when Louis-Philippe, king, takes over after a revolution and swears to the constitutional charter. The workshops of La Manufacture des Gobelins, the Gobelins Manufactory, can also be visited on a guided tour. And it's a very interesting visit because you would see the silk workers at work and you will see the weavers and tapestries on the looms. So once you are done with visiting the exhibition, there is just nearby one of the best pastries of Paris that I mentioned in a previous video, and it's a 3-minute walk, so you don't want to miss it. Et voilà, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if it was interesting to you and if you discovered something, I would be thrilled if you would leave a blue thumb up, and why not subscribe. Until next time, thank you for your time, thank you for your comments, enjoy Paris! So, in case you would like to have it in the right order, let me share that with you. So we had Louis XIV, the 15th, the 16th, then the French Revolution, then the First Republic, then the First Empire with Napoleon Bonaparte, then the First and Second Restoration, when we brought back a king to the throne, then the Second Republic, then the Second Empire, then the Third Republic, then the Vichy regime during World War II, then the Fourth Republic, and then since 1958 the Fifth Republic.